I'm Ross, and I'm a curious parent.
I'm John, and I'm an education expert.
This is From the Sidelines.
Bite-sized study tips to help you help them through.
Welcome back to another podcast From the Sidelines, helping you to help them through. It's lovely to have you all back with us. I'm Ross Bennett, I'm the host, and John Tate, our resident education guru and expert. John, how have you been?
Yeah, I had a good week. How about you? You good?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah,
Good.
not bad at all. Tried to put into practice the silence technique.
Okay, how did that go for you?
As we said last time, two kids under three, maybe for about 30 seconds. But we'll work on it. We'll work on it.
But honestly, that's an interesting point. That actually, it might not work straight away. But actually, why should we give up? We're the adults. You know, let's keep going with it. Use some resilience ourselves. Keep working at it, and actually, you know, keep going, and you'll get there within a few days or even a few weeks, right? But if we throw everything out with the bathwater immediately, we'll never get anything done, do we? So definitely keep going with that one.
And if not, I can always buy some earplugs. Right, today, this is a good one. Mobile phones and distractions.
It is. I suppose it's a hot topic in everyone's house, isn't it, at the moment? Not necessarily at the moment, but over the last kind of few years, and they've become an amazing part of our modern day lives, and they allow us to do so many things. But unfortunately, they have a downside, and the downside is, as we know, distractions, notifications, pinging all the time, constantly kind of taking our focus away, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. And hopefully, people can relate to actually in their own lives as well as adults about, you know, at work and at home and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm sure we'll have a good and heated discussion about kind of how this kind of works, you know.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because for a lot of parents and carers listening, I think there wouldn't have been a time of study for them where the mobile phone was so prominent.
Correct.
But it is such a key thing in everyone's life right now that, as you say, we can all surely understand the impact that it can have when we're trying to sit and do something or concentrate on something, and that's what we want to try and get into today, isn't it? Get
Absolutely.
down to the bare bones.
Yeah, and I think it's not just kind of putting your head in the sand and thinking it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's about kind of hitting it head on, tackling it, and thinking, right, what can I do as a parent to minimise the negative impact of the disruption in terms of distractions when they're studying that it might be having. Now, it'd be interesting to see whether or not parents are actually aware of, and we'll talk about this in a minute, of what might be happening, you know, when they're kind of studying. So yeah, hopefully people can take a lot away from this one.
So what is that then? So child in bedroom, mobile phone next to them, studying, door shut, parent out of the room. What's going on?
Probably not a lot of studying to start with. I think we need to be honest with ourselves that if we watch our children, if your children are maybe secondary age, you know, if you watch them next to their phone for any long period of time, and when I say long period of time, I mean anything more than 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, it would be amazing if you did a tally chart of how many times their phone lit up or buzzed with a notification from one or more of their kind of social media kind of networks or channels. So if we know that's happening, we can't then assume that because they're studying, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what that means is that if that's buzzing every, in some cases, 20, 30, 60 seconds, that means their concentration flow is continually being ruined and disrupted every 30 or 40 seconds, which is really, really, really poor for their kind of, I suppose, just their general kind of ability to do a task.
Of course, yeah.
Because they're constantly having their mind taken by something else. And then when you know it is buzzing all the time, you've almost got half an eye on when it's going to buzz next, you know, because you're kind of looking at it all the time. So it's understanding that is what's happening in the bedroom. And actually, what that also then starts to breed is that our children can only work in short, very short spurts of attention, because they aren't resilient enough to work for 20, 30, 40, 60 minutes without a break or without any distractions. They're always looking for that next distraction because they've been used to only working for a minute at a time. So it's really understanding and not being naive to think that they are working for 60 minutes. If that phone's in that room, it's probably buzzing every minute.
So every phone can go on silent.
Correct.
We can remove the notifications technically in terms of doing so.
Yeah.
Why is that? Are you going to tell me that's not a good thing? Are you going to tell me that that's not good enough?
What I'm going to say is that it's still not good enough. Okay. Because what's really interesting about this, and there's been lots of science and research on this, that when we have our mobile phone within arm's reach or within the room where we can see it.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't buzz, we still have that kind of burning desire to check the phone, to just check in case someone has messaged me, Snapchatted me, rang me, etc. etc. I mean, even just let's be honest. Think about us as adults. How many times do we take our phone out of our pocket when it hasn't buzzed, we haven't had a notification, to just check?
Well, I was going to say, countless times. I wouldn't know how many times in a day, but also pulling it back to another situation, sat at home watching television on the sofa, loving what you're watching on television, but still how many times do you check the phone?
Exactly. And what's interesting is that some of the research around this said it's almost a bit like a baby's kind of heartbeat and a kind of mother, where it's almost like calling your kind of name. It's that kind of connection where it's saying, Ross, Ross, and you're not checking it, and then you're fighting that urge, and it's like Ross, and it's like, oh, I need to check it, and you check it, and guess what? No one's messaged you.
Well, hang on a minute, John. That's a bit unfair occasionally.
But that urge is there, so we need to remember that. And again, I always like to talk to parents about well, we know what it's like in our lives.
Yeah.
It's no different from our young people. So if we know that we've got that urge to check our phones, same in a kind of business meeting, lots of businesses and schools and things, there's a rule of, even if your phone's on the table face down, that's still not good enough, because it's almost like you're not respecting the people in the room because the phone's more important. So actually it doesn't matter, just get it away, put it in the bag, get it away, in a meeting. And it's the same here. If it's in the room, whether it's on silent, whether the notification's off, it doesn't make a difference. And let me tell you this, if your kids are fairly tech savvy, they've probably got their notifications coming through on their laptop as well. So not only is the phone pinging, the laptop's probably lighting up at the same time. So that's just another little added complication to work out.
And going back to the other episode that we did, and we were considering silence.
Yeah.
And one of the things we mentioned was about being in the conditions that you perform.
Yeah.
No young person gets to take a mobile phone into an exam. Exactly. And put it next to them at the table so they feel comfortable.
Exactly. And I think as a parent, let's understand that. Let's take control, and actually be the parent that says, okay, I'm going to remove the phone now. Again, don't make it, and we talked about this in one of the previous episodes, don't make it a punishment, but actually the very best learning conditions, I'll remove the phone and we're going to do 20 minutes of study. And then actually at the end of the 20 minutes, I'll give you your phone back. You can check your notifications to your heart's content for 5 or 10 minutes. And then when we're ready to study again, give me the phone again. And we can move it on from there. So I think that's an easy way that parents can help to really make that the conditions of the study environment in that bedroom or that designated study place, really, really good.
And from a young person point of view, selling it back to them, surely you would rather have 20 minutes of concentrated study followed by being able to check your phone than actually stretching your study over an hour because you're checking your phone every 2 minutes and you're not getting anywhere, and it's not...
Exactly.
No point, is there?
No, and I think that if we sit down and speak to our children about, do we want to be efficient? Like, would you rather study for 20 minutes and it all go in and it all stick, rather than 60 minutes and nothing stick?
Yeah.
Come on, at some point we need to then talk through the science with them and talk about how we can be efficient. And we want to surely, and all of us in our lives want to do almost the least work for the highest output. Yeah. That's kind of like the efficient goal, isn't it?
Of course.
So if we can talk to students about that, our children, then we can make them understand.
Okay, but there's a common argument, I reckon, that happens in quite a lot of households when it comes to revision, and that's that the phone is needed for a calculator or an app.
Yeah.
What do we say?
Guess what?
What?
Buy my calculator.
Good point.
All right.
Didn't think of
Buy
that.
my calculator.
Fair point.
You're right. It's a common excuse. Yeah. I need it because of this. It's normally an excuse because they're so addicted and attached to the phone that they'll come up with, I need a calculator. Okay, well, I'll get you a calculator then. And then it's like, oh, well, I need it for. Well, what do you need it for? Now, if on the odd chance that they need it for a specific app for that specific task, then ultimately, okay, let's turn the notifications off. All right, let's kind of pare it down so it's only using what app it is. And then once that task's finished, though, we can then take the phone off that. It doesn't need to be, I need my phone all the time. No, you don't. You just want it because you're attached to it. You're addicted to it. You like it. You feel comfortable with it. You feel like almost naked without it, that type of thing. Yeah. So actually, as the adult, we need to be kind of, brave enough to say, okay, well, I'll buy you a calculator then. Yeah. Or you've probably got one in your bag anyway. You don't need it. And also, let me tell you this. like you said, students can't use that calculator on their phone in an exam. So again, let's get them using the calculator that they're going to be using, if need be, in an exam, rather than the one that they can't use. Because they can't use their phone in the exam, they know that. So they're just trying to kind of, spin a bit of a yarn and kind of, take us on a bit of a trip, I think.
But you've got 2 teenage children.
Yeah.
And I think for the majority of people listening, they're ready for a battle when it comes to taking that phone out of the child's hand and out of the child's room.
Yeah.
So what do we do here then? How do we overcome the battle?
I think we've said this in a previous podcast about kind of silence and silent focus, that it's about being honest with them. It's about sitting down with your son or your daughter and explaining the science of what we've just talked through about the phone and the distractions, explaining that it's not a good use of their time, explaining that they're going to spend more time revising and studying and learning less. Why would you want to do that? Give them the efficiency talk. Yeah. Make it about learning. Don't make it a punishment. Don't give them their phone to start with and then say, I didn't think you did that much, so therefore I'm going to take your phone, because then you are going to have an argument.
Yeah.
Straight away. It's going to be a punishment. It's going to be an argument. So start off with, okay, we're going to get the equipment out. We're going to have everything ready. We're going to have everything nice and tidy, and we've already had that conversation about the phone. Don't have that conversation as you're about to take the phone, because that's when it's going to get into an argument. Have the conversation like the day before or the week before or the start of the year. Yeah. This is how things are going to work. Yeah. Here is how we're going to create the best study environment. Yeah. This is what's going to happen. So expect it to happen. And it's not a surprise when it happens, and I mean it. I am going to stick to this. And ultimately, and I say this as a parent who pays the 2 phone bills of my kids.
Good point.
You're probably paying the phone bill anyway. You're paying for it. All right? So be an adult, take charge, and actually, I'm paying for this. If it gets to that point, this is what's going to happen. And just explain, the science, and that we know as adults, this is the best way to learn. This is the best way. And there we go. And if need be, use me as the excuse. John said, and I can be the one that has that.
You could be the most hated man in Britain if you're not careful on that one. Yeah. No, it's look, summarising what we're saying, no matter what excuse is given, it's on flight mode. Can be turned off with a click of a button.
Yeah.
Silence, still getting notifications coming. Fact of the matter, that device sat there next to you or in that room, that is all that your young person is going to be thinking about in terms of accessing that through their thoughts and picking it up in their hand.
Absolutely. So take charge, get rid of it, and give them it back. When they can have it back, and if there might be a big fight over kind of, well, what's on that phone, and if your child's at a certain age, and if they want to, let them keep the memory card. Let them take the memory card out, like they do in school. I'll hand my phone over, but I'm taking the battery out. Well, that's fine, because ultimately all you want, if you're at that stage where there's a bit of secrecy or they don't want to show you what's on there, well, all you want ultimately is to just not have the phone in the room. Yeah. So if they end up taking the battery out, or you take the battery, or whatever it is, however you get to a point where that is not the distraction, then so be it.
Good nugget. Like it. Thanks, John. Another cracker.
Yep.
Mobile phones, as simple as that. We all use them every day. We've got to eliminate them in the study process, haven't we?
Absolutely.
So, again, we say it every time, but we hope we find it useful. The tips that we're giving here are meant to be bite-sized chunks that help you to help them through. Another From the Sidelines complete. Loved it. Thanks, John. And we'll see you guys again soon.